Hello and welcome to another edition of Luminar Coffee Break. I'm your host, Finelli. Now joining me is my co-host, Angela Andrew. One moment.
Hey everyone, good to see you today. Hope you guys are having a good week. Gearing up for the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. Everything okay on that end?
I'm so sorry. There we are.
All right.
There we are. I'm so sorry about that.
That's all right. You know, these things happen. So we're here for our weekly wrap up, and we're doing it a little early this week because here in the U.S. we have our Thanksgiving holiday, which is tomorrow. So Vanelli and I will be taking the rest of the week off, which is very nice. For all of you in the U.S., we want to wish you a very happy Thanksgiving, and for everyone else in the world, wish you a great rest of the week and hope maybe even a long weekend. Just want to say we're very grateful that you guys join us every day for these shows. It's a lot of fun to do, and we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We're very thankful for you.
Well, hey, that was a great cover-up for me. Thank you so much.
I do my best.
You're right. I mean, Thanksgiving is it's a great time for everyone. Even if you're not part of the U.S., it's a way to reflect and be thankful for a lot of stuff that we have. And obviously, I'm thankful for you being a co-host and helping push me to get extra things done. So for our watchers. So all right. So Angela, what did you do this week?
So this week I walked you through how to add details to rusty, weathered objects and how to do it without going overboard and getting a crunchy result. So this is a photo that I was working with. It's actually one of Vanelli's photos. And let me show you my before. And you can see it's a great photo, nice color, but the details are just lacking something. So here's what I came up with. And I went in and I used a template called Razor, and it's in the objects section here. So let me go up here to the main page and down here to objects. And it was right here at the bottom called Razor. Now it did some really cool stuff, but I wanted to bring out some of those details a little bit more. So we went over into the edit panel and into our essentials. We amped up the structure a little bit extra, and then we went in here and modified our details. So the template actually had our small details pushed up a little bit too high, and that's an area that I really feel adds that crunchiness. And to me, that's not so desirable. Certain areas can deal with a little bit of that small detail enhancement, but for most things, it just ends up looking too crunchy, especially if you pull it too far to the right. So I backed that off, added a little bit of medium details, and then this front portion here, after I did my processing, was a little too bright. So we went into the Pro Tools, used our dodge and burn, so you can turn that off, turn that back. And the reason I did that dodge and burn was because your eye tends to go to the brightest part of a photo. And to me right now, without that darkening, it's a little distracting, pulls my eye away from the subject, which is the truck. So by darkening up that foreground just ever so slightly, it brings the attention back to the subject. So I went from this here. Let me go ahead. Actually, for some reason, I have to close out of dodge and burn to be able to access the visibility icon here. So there's the before, and then there's the after.
Oh, wow. And you see the tires really come out.
Go ahead.
You can see the tires. Now you can see the rims of the tires now.
Yeah, it opened up the shadows a bit, which is cool, but not too much. But it really brought out so much detail in the paint of the truck and the peeling paint on the bed of the truck. That was kind of the best part, is like you can see a little bit more of those edges and such. And it's just a much more dynamic image.
I like it.
Thanks.
Well, that's awesome. Now, by the way, we have Dave from New Zealand. We have our good friend Diana. She's actually my private copy editor. She makes me sound really good when I write. And then we also have a couple from. We have John from Australia, and then Karsten. I'm not quite sure where Karsten is from. So we have a lot of people from all over the world here. Well, that's awesome, Angela. And one of the viewers made a comment. You used the word crunchy, and they kept saying, "Wow, I've been a film photographer for over 50 years. What does crunchy mean?" You know, I know what you mean. Do you want to tell them?
Absolutely. So when I use the word crunchy to describe details in a photograph, it's when they've been over sharpened. Those details get a little rough looking. It's just when the details enhancements are taken too far. I call that crunchy because everything just looks a bit rough and unnatural.
Yeah.
So, and it's a really easy thing to do. Some of the templates and other things can take those details and push them a little too far. And so what I wanted to show you was a couple of ways on how to bring that back and how to add detail without going too far. So I hope that answers your question.
No, you did an awesome job on that. All right, so mine was on body AI, and I wanted to show how we can make bodies look either slimmer or look fuller. And then you and I talked about this. That could be a very touchy subject with some photographers, especially those who felt sky replacement was over the top. Those types of photographers are going to feel that shaping a person's body, even their face, is over the top. My attitude is simple. If the person's own mother can't recognize them, then you've gone too far on your edits. But let me share my screen with you. All right, here we go. You know what we'll do? We'll start with mine first. So here's an image of myself. And I'm going to jump right over to the edit menu. And I was going to give it a second for it to render. Once it does, I'm going to jump over to the portrait tools. And here's body AI. All right. So, ready for this? Before. Let's give it a second. Boom. Look at that. So, that's the effect of COVID. Because we're stuck in the house, and I have to admit, I have been overworked and pushed myself just a little too far. So I haven't been able to work out as much as I wanted to. So I know I gained a lot of weight. But I gotta be honest, other than you guys, I really don't want to show that picture. That's not my favorite picture for people to see, 3 months from now, a year from now when COVID is over. That picture right here, when I turn it back on, I'd rather them see that. And all it was is this shape tool right here. So there's two. Remember, we're dealing with a beta version. This will no longer be here. So watch this. What I think is so cool is it knows I'm sitting in a chair. And it was able to edit around me and make it all look natural. Now, I'm going to come over to the history tool. I'll go all the way to the bottom. So here's the original image. And then I use composition AI just to crop the image properly. Then I did my body shaping, and while I was there, I used Soulful as a template. All right. So here's what it looks like. That's what it looks like without Soulful, and then that's what it looks like with the Soulful template. And the only reason why I'm showing that now is somebody also made a comment that they love that we're using templates, and that's one of the biggest push with Luminar AI is these templates give you a starting point. But remember, it's just a starting point. So if I come over here, I can actually see what tools were used to create this look. The only tool I added was this body shaping. And notice, because I added a template, it overwrote anything that I did beforehand. So if you notice, well, now it's going to give us just those. So if you notice down here, I did body AI, but because I ran a template here, it overwrote everything we just did except for the composition, right? So now someone asked, well, what do you do when there's multiple people in an image? Well, here we are, before. Oh, let it render. Oh, hey, guess what, Angela? Look, the Windows version does it too. When it's processing, awesome. Did you see it changing colors?
I do, yeah.
Good. So before, after, actually, let me get into the edit menu. Okay, portrait AI is off. All right, so here we go. I'm going to turn it on. And look at that. So again, before. Oh, it's not rendering yet. There it is. There's before. There's after. So notice how it takes like this whole background here and it nudges it ever so slightly to where it doesn't look distorted. Now, she wanted to do a slight body tuck here, He doesn't need, if anything, he would need the opposite. But in this particular picture, he looks very good in it. As of now, remember we're still in the beta, if I wanted to have him not be affected, then I would run this as a Photoshop plugin. And once I ran Luminar, did what I needed to with the bodies, once it got back into Photoshop, I would just mask this area out. All right? And we'll give me one last one. You know what? We'll use the football player. So I showed you how to enhance the body, or to make the body look thinner, but what happens if you want the body to look heavier? Now, in Andrew's case, he's a big boy, but the way I photographed him, I wish I photographed him with a 35mm lens to make him look wider, and normally I have their stances out wide, because then it gives them an hourglass, like a shape, an hourglass shape figure, or a V shape, I should say, a V shape, whereas upper body would be a lot bigger, but I didn't do it, so, boom, look at this. That's him normally, and then that's using the body shape just to bring a little bit more beefiness up to his upper body. All right? So, there we have it, Angela.
Those are great uses. I think, that, as you said, the key is you want to make sure their mother recognizes that it's a picture of them. Because that's, it's easy to go overboard with those, but it's awfully nice to have them too. I kind of wish I could do that in real life.
So, of course, people are asking, can we mask in Luminar? And the answer, of course, is yes. Every tool has a masking capability to it. So every tool, you can mask the effect of that tool, and that I think is really cool. What we don't have right now is the layers that we used to have, because they're going to be replacing it with something far better than what we had. And as of now, you can see speed is definitely improved. So what they're doing is anything that's causing lag onto it, they're either rewriting it or getting rid of it and replacing it with something that's a lot better. So,
well, just to kind of add to that question of the masking, there are a couple of tools that you won't be able to mask, such as, I think, the body AI. That's why Vanelli was saying you have to take it into Photoshop to do that. So tools that actually bend pixels and move pixels around, you can't mask over those because they won't line up properly after the fact. So you do need to go into a pixel editor like Photoshop to do that.
Awesome. All right. And if you have questions, always please feel free to leave them in the comments below. And Angela and I try to go back over it after the show and try to answer some of those questions. And then if you have ideas, like how many people were bugging you about Aurora for the longest time?
Oh, so many. Everybody who uses Aurora wants to learn more about it. And those who have bought it in a bundle sometimes don't know exactly how to put it to use. So I love showing people how to use Aurora. It's one of my favorite applications. So if you have questions about it, definitely let us know.
Great. Was it Duncan? Who was it that you spent quite a bit of time on developing the workflow? Right, Duncan?
Yes, with Duncan.
And he came up with a really cool...
Go ahead.
No, go on.
I would say we dove into batch processing and how he was able to, with really adding no looks in Aurora, go ahead and just run his pictures through Aurora and then take them into Luminar for his final processing and quick little touch-ups. So we were able to speed up his workflow and get him a lot closer to the results he was wanting to get, which was fun.
Exactly. And when we say you please feel free to reach out to us, we actually mean it. We're not just saying it, because keep in mind, like in Duncan's case, that helped open the doors to some new ideas that we can share with people. And if you have a question, chances are, so does about 5 or 6 other people, or even hundreds of people have that same question. And so if we can answer it globally, then we affect obviously more people. So please feel free to reach out.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, hey, thank you guys so much for joining us. Angela, you have a great Thanksgiving. You're going to take tomorrow and Friday off, right?
Looking forward to some good food.
I, on the other hand, still have the user guide that we have to finish. So I'll be working through the holiday week, but it's going to be worth it because once you have the user guide, you've seen it with Luminar 4, where it's interactive. We're doing the same thing with Luminar AI. The difference is we have to rewrite a whole bunch of new content on how the tools are working. And the neat thing about it is some of these tutorials that Angela is doing, or myself or other like ambassadors, we can actually put those into the user guide or the user manual to make it easier for you to understand what the tools are doing or what you could do with them in the future. So it's worth spending the extra time on that. I'll eat, come in, finish, work on that manual, rest, and then back at it again. So, but thank you guys so much for joining us, and we'll see you at the next coffee break. Bye, everyone.
Yes. Bye, everyone.